Good. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from wherever you are joining today. I am Dr. Renuka Thakur, founder of Global Sustainable Futures Network. And I'm very pleased that we have come to the day 2, session 4 on peace building. So welcome again, everyone. And those who have not do not know what is the vision and objective of GSFN, I would like to run through this small video so that we know that you are aware of what it is. So please join me. Despite very significant development gains globally, which has raised many millions of people out of absolute poverty, there is substantial evidence that inequality between the world's richest and poorest countries is widening. Today, the world has become more complex, and poorer countries have experienced significant economic and social development. However, the inequalities within countries have also been growing, and some commentators now talk of a global north and global south, referring respectively to richer and poorer communities which are found within and between countries. There are many causes of these inequalities, including the availability of natural resources, different levels of health and education, the nature of country's economy and its industrial sectors, international trading policies and access to markets, how countries are governed and international relationships between countries, conflict within and between countries, and a country's vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change. So, most importantly, researchers are called upon to address the barriers to climate science in the global south. These culturally diverse nations of global south are united by common threats to their sustainable futures. Challenges faced in creating collaborations, partnerships across national borders and academic disciplines. Through Global Sustainable Futures Progress Through Partnership Network, we want to play a leading role in creating an inclusive, collaborative, innovative, and engaging platform for early career researchers and like-targeted stakeholders, including startups and entrepreneurs, supported by experienced senior researchers and business leaders, where everyone can share in their research, innovation, visualization, and enthusiasm in parallel to network success. Our fundamental objective is to create a strong research environment, building to a multidisciplinary and multisectoral team of endogenous professionals that would be capable of pursuing and utilizing participatory and integrative approaches in solving public and environmental sustainability problems. Therefore, our priorities are empowering and capacity building, working with researchers to empower communities and individuals, increase independence and support to those who need it, give researchers and stakeholders the legacy of sustainable practices, fair and inclusive, improve economic and social and environmental equality, pursuing development which offers fair distribution and access to good quality life and working conditions. Networking and engagement provide an innovative and global-wide platform to make global sustainable futures progress through partnership network, an effective and well-connected network, transforming traditional society systems to more sustainable systems. And above all, it is sustainability. So, co-create sustainable and resilient development pathways to secure sustainable futures for all and everyone. So, the key focus is mobilization and engagement, building a community of practice, creating a strong leadership, and producing a critical mass of good practices. 800 coordinators from 105 countries. So thank you for listening to our aim and objectives and the vision we have. And it has made, we have been able to, achieve some of these things through the 3-year journey. And today we are doing these monthly summits, and that has been, been very, very successful in a way to bring all this participation from researchers, businesses, and the community project leaders. And we have been able to at least put some conversation, very productive and progressive conversation on floor. So thank you again, everyone, for joining me today. And I will welcome William Jackson to lead on this. Please introduce yourself and then carry on your talk. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I'm William Jackson here in Jacksonville, Florida, United States, with my wife, Aida, and our family. And it's such a wonderful pleasure to be here on this very important subject dealing with peacemaking. And our area is centered around the blending of education and benefiting society as a whole. My wife and I have been educators over 30 years in different capacities in different areas. So the idea is to look at the world more or less through the eyes of children, youth, teens, and young adults. Just a little bit of background information. I've been teaching 33 years. I recently retired. Most of it was on the elementary level, having the opportunity, my first 15 years teaching health and physical education, which you usually don't see that type of blending, teaching what we call here in the States PE, or physical education and health education, and then blending it with technology, being able to use technology to share content, to inspire, to encourage, and not just the digital skills and abilities, but using it as a platform, as a way to bring people together, young people together, to collaborate and share. My wife is a DEI on the web professor in the past, and she's also an artist and author. So we take all of those elements and we blend them together in the curriculums that we create to allow youth, teens, and young adults to blend their knowledge and blend their abilities and blend their skills together to see the benefits and the uses of technology to magnify and accentuate what they do and their potentials of what they're doing in the future. So when you're talking about the term peacemaking has very different connotations to people. With all the things that are going on in the world, one of the important things that we need to look at is how do we find a platform or a foundation, a base where we can have a dialogue and discussion and talking. Working with youth, teens, and young adults, they are unencumbered or unhindered by the differences that they may have. So it's important that we still learn from the children as they grow, as they develop, because they are not directly influenced by the different variances on culture and color and gender and all of those that as we get older, we see. And unfortunately, sometimes we classify or we also categorize. One of the beautiful things about working with young people is the fact that their minds are unhindered because they're very creative, they're very innovative, they are very open and not scared to dive into technology to build and create and design. Combining that with the ability to collaborate with each other is just phenomenal. Visit a classroom, whether it's in our terms kindergarten, which are 5 and 6 year olds, and at the elementary level, when they're working on projects and they're collaborating together, it's an open source of communication. As I said before, there's no hindrance or there's no lack of the ability to readily accept another person for that type of person who they are. Children are more apt to communicate. Children are more apt to share their ideas. We also have the term filters. Children are not filtered. They will tell you how they feel, either through their words, either through their deeds or their actions, which is refreshing because as they're working together and they're developing and growing, they're learning those collaborative skills that are necessary as they're going to use in their adult lives. So as they're growing and maturing, they see the ability to work on multiple projects in class. My wife and I always like to say that we live in a global economy. We each rely on each other, each nation, despite what others have presented or said. We do rely on each other. We do rely on the global presence of markets. We do rely on the global presence of education. And whether we think so or not, our children are influenced by that as well. Watching the news, using various different types of technologies with social media, connecting with the world. I don't believe any of us have had a chance to where we have not seen a young person, and when I say young person, I'm talking early elementary education, walking around with a phone. When we're talking to youth and teens, Aida and I always like to start off with during our presentations or having discussions, letting youth and teens know that their cell phone or their smartphone or whatever they want to call it can be their best friend or their worst enemy. So we actually have them repeat after us. So we'll say, hey, remember that this can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on the type of content that you post online. And there is an unhindrance of not creating diverse content, meaning that once you use your device, you have access to the world instantly. And it is very important that as our children grow and develop, we instill in them the mindset of their voices have power, their voices have meaning, their voices influence people around the world. It is to the point now where social media is being monitored to make sure the content does not prohibit the ability to communicate effectively. We can't run away from technology. We can't hide from technology, but we must be able to use it proficiently and strategically as well. And this is where the educational aspect comes through, helping youth, teens, and young adults understand their place in the world, but also that they can be influencers in the world in peaceful conversation and peaceful dialogue. One of the challenges is that we don't, and I'm sure some parents and grandparents can relate to this, occasionally don't ask the children in our lives their ideas, their opinions, their thoughts, and their wishes. We are, as adults, more prone to telling our young people what to do, how to think, how they should behave, but very rarely are we asking them, well, what do you think? Or what are your ideas? Or what solutions do you have to the issues that you hear about? Or how would you use technology to solve global issues, to solve social issues? And I think it's important that we start changing our mind frame and our mindset to include our young people in these processes. And, you know, when you're talking to people, sometimes they don't understand the process or understand the connection of getting our young people involved and engaged in social issues because they look at it as a different perspective. Again, they aren't hindered by what they've seen around the world and related to the news or politics or even religion, but they're more prone to accept people for who they are and the type of relationship that they have. And I'll give a few examples. Working as a physical education teacher, you know, you're teaching young people sports skills, you're teaching them how to move, you're teaching them to understand their relationship to their bodies. But as kids are working together in team aspects or team sports, you see the blending of friendships, you see the blending of collaborations, you see the blending of the ability of young people to work together because they have something that they focus on and if they can do and grow together. And that's very key and important, even in the situations that we have today. If you notice, unfortunately, there aren't avenues or directed portions where youth can get together and talk and share their ideas and share their thoughts. They're influenced by what's going on around them, but they don't have a direct influence on those situations or people that are asking them, what do you think? What do you think the solutions are? What do you think that we can do? Or what do you think that the strategies that could be implemented to solve certain issues? And as adults and as leaders, we are going to have to start changing our ideas and our mindsets about actually how to impose that and how to change the idea of the direct relationship and influence our children have. Now, as we're moving along, as technology is changing, we're moving into more AI, artificial intelligence, VR, virtual reality, metaverse. There's so many terms, IoT, Internet of Things, but we must not forget the humanistic aspect. Taking these technologies and how do we apply them to helping each and every one of us collectively grow as a community and as a society. Aida and I, we have our Oculus that we use during our trainings, and this gives us a chance to show the educational, not just the gaming value of technology, but how to use the technology to collaborate online, to build, to grow, to create, and to modify situations and circumstances, even though they're digitally, but to take that information from those digital environments into real life environments. One of the things is to make sure that all of that blending together helps us establish a foundation where collectively we can work together, we can collaborate together either to solve issues, solve problems, or address situations and circumstances that can grow beyond the current level of engagement. One of the things we try to constantly remind ourselves are we are parents, we are also grandparents, but we're also mentors to youth and teens with the works that we do globally. And one of the key things is even before we're providing a workshop or even before we're providing a session, we ask the youth and teens that we're working with, what do you think that you would want to learn? And what do you think learning that will take you and advance you in whatever direction that you want to go to? Having that opportunity to give them buy-in or ownership of that learning is important. It's valuable. As I said before, using the different types of technology that share content. So if I am able to share my screen quickly, I'm going to bring up a project that we've been working on a platform on the metaverse. You hear about the diverse technologies that are out there. Using these technologies and applying the technologies is really important because it sets the standard of how you're going to implement it, how you're going to execute the ability for people to work together. One of them is a metaverse platform. Hopefully everyone can see this. Please let me know if you're able to or not able to. We'll make
Yes, we
adjustments.
can see. Carry on.
Okay. This is for an upcoming conference in June called WordCamp Europe. And we have the opportunity for the second year to be involved as organizers and speakers and media partners. Now, our area is passionate with youth, teens, and young adults to bring them into conferences like these globally, whether in person or virtually. So creating environments like these, using platforms like Spatial and other platforms called Ready Player Me to teach young people how to create avatars where they're able to go in and engage in these areas. Now, it looks like a video game. It's based on video game elements, but you are able to come into environments like this and have conversations and have meetings, but also to engage with others that share that same passion of the blending of community, which comes first, community and technology. So as you're walking through here, other people are allowed to come in, other people are allowed to share content, and other people are allowed to share information. This particular conference this year is going to be in Turin, Italy. Last year it was in Athens, Greece. So one of the most important elements is the cultural aspect of, you see the flag of Italy. Hey, this is Italy. These elements are important, excuse me, to the community and how young people can engage with each other. So WordCamp Europe is allowing us also to be the teachers of the kids camp. So we're going to have about 20 young people in a workshop for 5 hours, and we're going to teach them coding, programming, web development, how to create avatar, how to get in spaces like Spatial to work together and collaborate with each other. So these blend the opportunities of opening technological areas and avenues to where you can provide instruction, you can provide mentorship. One of the things we have to realize, even in the educational aspect, is young people today, they do not want to be lectured. They do not want to be part of what's called a traditional classroom where the teacher is standing in front of them to be lectured. They want interactivity, they want engagement, they want collaboration, they want to be able to take ownership of their learning. And not only that, but they want to blend it with their classmates as well. So having avenues and areas as such as this are really key and important because it allows them to see the creativity, to see the innovation that is available to them. We also want to look at the aspect of, sometimes we forget accessibility. The accessibility in this case is the accessibility of mobility. How can someone that's confined to a wheelchair or hospital bound or homebound, not just in a local environment, but globally, are welcomed into the aspects of being involved and engaged in areas like this? Now, you may be wondering still, well, how can this be blended with peacemaking? Well, the aspect of everybody has buy-in, everybody has ownership, everybody has a place to come into an environment where they are welcomed, where they are engaged, where they see the value of I am accepted for who I am, even in a digital realm, is very important because it opens up the opportunity for dialogue and discussion. Our youth and teens are more prone now to digital environments, particularly if they're part of being involved in platforms like Roblox or Minecraft or other areas that give the aspect of view of gaming. But you want to make sure you have elements that are fun, elements that are enriching, elements that are engaging as well, because they want to be creative. Now, after 33 years of teaching, one of the things that are lacking in education, and this is not just a concept or idea in the US, but also globally, is the opportunity for our young people to be creative, to be innovative, and to collaborate together. We must provide more opportunities of these for them to feel, for our young people to feel that they're engaged in a direct learning involves them, engages them, and they have input. I think one of the aspects as we look at the peacemaking aspect as well is providing an opportunity for everybody to contribute, everybody to have buy-in, and everybody to see that there is value in what they contribute to, and there is a value in what they provide. That the questions are not directly related to this is what we're going to do. What do you think? Or we're going to implement this. What do you think? It's like before any of that happens, whatever the challenges are, whatever the issues are, and I'm going to stop sharing this. What is a way that what resources can be provided to help you grow, to help you be engaged, to help you be involved. One of the beautiful things about this platform that we're in right now is the global aspect and global connections that we have using LinkedIn. And I thank you to those that have reached out on LinkedIn and connected. I really look forward to talking with you more to see how we can collaborate with using different areas of technology. The works that Aida and I are doing in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Kenya, and South Africa are all based on teaching the foundational aspects of technology, but how to apply it and use it in the growth and development culturally of communities. There's so much information out there that people don't understand, and I'll just share a few things. That across the continent of Africa, there's about 20 nations that actually have space programs, all right, that are working with NASA and working with SpaceX and working with the European Union that have actually put satellites into space. And we need to share this information with our young people because those are open careers for them to be able to say, hey, I may not want to be an astronaut, but I can go into mathematics. I can be an engineer. I can be an artist and design the rockets, the ships, the spacecraft that are out there. For our young people to understand that there are opportunities for them in the areas of engineering, building or rebuilding or reinforcing the structures across the continent of Africa, because bridges need to be built, buildings need to be upgraded and updated. So these are opportunities and careers that they may have not have noticed or not have seen before. The other aspect of the influence of the infrastructure of the telecommunications across Africa. In several of our classes, we've shown by videos that the signals coming from satellites are accessible all across the continent. So there should not be any reason why no one has direct access to high-speed internet access, and that there are also high-speed fiber optic lines coming to the continent of Africa that businesses do have access, but these also need to be opened up to allow young people to be able to be business owners and entrepreneurs. Opening up these opportunities allows the young people to come together and build businesses, become small business owners, and grow in products and services, but also share content and information. One of the projects we're working with an organization called One Africa Forum is in South Sudan, helping girls and women to be better writers, to be better content creators. And the idea is to teach them and guide them and show that their voice has power, their voice has influence. And as we know, the women globally are the foundations of learning in homes and learning in communities, because women will take their knowledge and teach the children, the boys and girls, how things work, how things operate, the strategic value of order and timing and collaboration, which are really important. So as kids grow, many times you hear and you wonder, okay, they recognize their mothers, they recognize their grandmothers because they are the foundations of education and learning in their households and communities, and they take that knowledge and they apply it and grow from it and with it. So those models are very key and very important for us to understand. Peacekeeping comes on a foundational level where everybody has the opportunity to speak, but they also must be heard and respected. It is okay to have different points of view. It is okay to have different points of ideas. But the important thing and key thing is to remember that everyone should feel that they are welcome, that they are respected, and they are provided the opportunity to talk. Now, I'll give you a wonderful example. If you can imagine having 20 to 25 5 or 6-year-olds in a classroom, in a physical education setting, or even in a technology class. Personally, for me, I love that age level, that grade level, because their brains are like blank slates or blank pieces of paper, and they're like canvases, and you get to teach them and guide them and mentor them. And that foundation of education that you provide to them allows and influences their growth in the preceding grades, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. And this is why it's important at a foundational early level that we teach our young people, we teach our children. These are the things that you need to know now as you grow and develop. This is how you apply them as well. Um, excuse me, many times the lack of those basic skills are hindrances to the growth and development in their future growing. So as we're talking, as we're engaging, and this is a perfect platform that we have here, we are hearing different perspectives and different ideas, different strategies, different methodologies, but we're also contributing to the discussion and dialogue from our background experiences and taking that information with us each day and directly applying it to where we are. So in our unique and individual ways and collectively, we are all peacemakers by taking the content and information with us. One of the things to remember is you don't have to have sophisticated technology to be influential. You can start with basics, laptop with writing and creative writing, as we're doing in South Sudan with the girls and women, allowing them to be storytellers. Everyone has a story to tell. So giving them the opportunity to tell their story and others is very key and important. If there is a challenge in the writing process, the other avenue is the arts, allowing people to draw. And that doesn't mean everyone has to be the perfect artist, everybody has to be the perfect drawer. Whatever medium, whether it's pencil, pens, clay, whatever a person feels comfortable with, because that is a level of expression and a level of passion. And I always say I'm blessed with my wife because she is an artist. She draws, she paints. I say I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but creatively, I can guide young people and help them express themselves and share that their voice is valuable, their voice is important, and yes, they do need to be heard. So as each of us shares our content, as each of us shares our information, we need to be reminded that also sometimes we need to step back and allow others to share their information with us, the content of what they're going through in their relationships and their backgrounds as well. I wanted to close in saying that as global educators, it is key and important that we understand that all cultures are important, all cultures are valuable because we bring key elements into the growth and expansion and maturity of the world that we live in. And as we understand and recognize this, we look at ourselves as mentors globally. We look at each other as peacemakers globally because we do have to work with each other. We do have to blend our ideas and our mindsets and our backgrounds together because we want to collectively make this world a better place for not just us, but for the children, our personal children, our grandchildren. We look at our nieces and nephews, and excuse me, others that we connect with, that we influence in our day-to-day lives. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity to speak. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting talk. And I want to just go on the real world scenario and how we can apply this. Of course, the training, the games part and the teachers part, everything is very, very important because that basic knowledge has to be given out. But you know, in the real case, I have a very good example of Lesotho. Lesotho has a 4-dam project, and 2 dams have been built, and the like first dam is built, second is in process, and there will be third and fourth phase as well for the 3 and 4 dam. Now they are already having this problem of environmental degradation and the land problem, water problem, and all that. They were trying to solve a problem of water scarcity through this dam, but it has impacted adversely within the community. And this was not realized initially. Now, if you have this visual tool like this, and if we have the right parameters, And if we had given that information and drawn out that mapping, having all the stakeholders together working on it, then we could have visualized what might be the impact of these dams and so on. So it is very critical to visualize the impact of what we are doing today. And so, for example, if we plant 200 trees in one region, then what will be the impact? You can visualize that impact here on 3D model. And that is so important to take the decisions and informed decisions of that. So this, we might think that the technology is for just play, comfort, and so on, but no, it is going to be exploited to, solve the environmental problems that we have today. And you have rightly mentioned that ESA is working on plenty of satellites to go and get the mapping of the world, and that will be so much useful. We will be able to understand why there are fires, and I have seen the details of that, which is very fascinating. And, with the different infra rays and other rays, like different wavelengths, you can see the problem very clearly, and you will be able to, disseminate appropriate measures to address those problems in time. So thank you very much for bringing these two on board. And, if we are able to solve those problems, there would be no conflict. Just now today, as I mentioned in the Lesotho, there is a conflict between government aspiration of building these dams, but the community livelihood is in problem. And so there is a conflict, and we can diminish these conflicts with the technology here. So thank you very much for bringing these on floor. I think it is just very much in time to invite Professor Aluba Femi Isan to present his talk, and we will join his launch and whatever he want to say today. So welcome, Professor, and please take the floor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for this great opportunity and the great minds that has been discussing various practical solutions in terms of the sustainability agenda of the United Nations. And so on this note, we would like to, welcome every one of you to our official launching, and also to introduce el-rol London University as a university that strongly believes in sustainability agenda. So we are expecting His Royal Highness, Dr. Renikwa, I sent you a text. The Royal Highness is having difficulty in joining. And so if you can help me solve that problem, we'll forward it. He said he has issue with joining because of the registration. So if you can send me a link that it doesn't need to register, maybe that will make it quicker for His Majesty to join us. So
sure, I will look at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So in the meantime, I would love to introduce, our philosophy to the community here present here today. Just a few minutes ago, I had a meeting with someone from Kenya, and then she asked the question that what is unique about el-rol London University. And so that was a question that I was asked. And we have some of our people here, and then the team. So we have team from Zambia, team from Ghana here present on this platform. So I'm going to introduce just a quick executive summary of el-rol London University to our beautiful audience that is present here this afternoon. And so el-rol London University is the private University, and I received the degree awarding power from the Kingdom of Hawaii Royal Accreditation Commission, CORAC, Honolulu in the USA. Is a higher education academy of the el-rol London Academy. So the el-rol London Academy owns the el-rol London University, which became a university in 2021 exactly. Will be 3 years old in the month of June. So what is so unique about us? Now, the Kingdom of Hawaii Royal Accreditation Commission, CORAC, was formed in January 2018 by His Royal Majesty King Edmund Pakisiva Jr., and it is an alternative indigenous education method. And so the beauty of CORAC, sits well with in terms of sustainability agenda about environment. So the CORAC is essentially formed by the decree of the king to maintain to set forth the commission and its high standard, and to seek the bridge between all indigenous people, including indigenous aboriginals and the First Nation people. Now, if you look at the vision of CORAC here, one can say that in terms of sustainability agenda, we should not forget that the ontologies of our local community is a very important part of the sustainability agenda, maintaining the indigenous psychology and ontologies of the indigenous people is a key thing. And that's where el-rol London Academy came in terms of, in terms of the philosophy. Now, coming from CORAC, but in a nutshell, what is so unique about us? And why are we a very different university in terms of our vision and perception? So I'm going to share with you, we have two fundamental philosophy of education here. And I'm going to pause a while and I will take questions as well. So we have a two fundamental philosophy of education, which I'm going to share with the audience. One of the fundamental philosophy that distinguish this university is the emancipatory concept of higher education. Yeah, the emancipatory concept of the higher education. Now, what is emancipatory knowing? Now, emancipatory knowing involve critically examine social, political.
Professor, can I stop you 1 minute?
Okay.
I have given you a message, so you can pass it to the king, please.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Onika. Yes, I have delivered your message. Hopefully, His Majesty will join us in the course of this event. And so let's go back to our philosophy. We believe strongly in the emancipatory concept of higher education. And what is emancipatory knowing? Now, emancipatory knowing involves critically examining social, political, and the institutional structures to uncover social injustice, inequities, and disrupt the status quo. And I believe that the sustainability agenda must be radically approached by disrupting the status quo. And so you can see within our philosophy there, it carries what I call the fundamental philosophy of sustainability agenda. Because if you are going to maintain this goal and pursue this goal, we have to disrupt the status quo. we have to bring in emancipatory knowledge. And so, in other words, we also see that there is a challenge and there is opposition, because emancipatory knowing also considers the power dynamics that create knowledge and the social and the political context that shape and influence knowledge and knowing. Now, if you look at the whole movement of the sustainability agenda, you will see that it is not immunized from political interference. You can see that there is also a political agenda behind this sustainability agenda of the United Nations. And looking at that, definitely there are powers dynamics taking place. And we must look at this if we are going to embrace the true spirit of sustainability to achieve that in all its goals. So you now know there are powers dynamics that determines what is knowledge and what is knowing. In other words, from an emancipatory perspective, knowledge and knowing are constructed in ways that reflect the prevailing hegemony or the problematic assumption about the way things are. So again, and this is one of the goals of this university, is for us to challenge the status quo, is for us to look at the dominant philosophy of knowledge. For example, looking at the scientific approach to knowledge. Is that the only way of knowing? But we'll now see that the scientific way of knowing is an hegemony, that controls what is knowledge and how do we know. And so our philosophy in this university is to challenge that status quo, is to look at other ways of knowing. And that leads us to the concept of hegemony is defined as the dominance of certain ideologies. So even in this sustainability agenda, you will notice that there are dominant ideologies that does not give room for indigenous psychology of the first world people. So it is also, we can say with every confidence, that the sustainability movement has been hijacked by colonial imperial masters. And that is where we are coming in. So we need to decolonize the very essence of sustainability philosophy in the third world and in the first world people. So that is where we are coming in as a university, based on our philosophical ideology of what should be the goal of higher education. In other words, hegemony is the dominance of certain ideologies, beliefs, values, or views of the world over other possible viewpoints. So the question I'm putting across at this stage to all our participants is that, are there other viewpoints, approaches to sustainability that we have neglected just because of the dominant ideologies concerning the knowledge and the way to execute sustainability agenda? So these are questions that we raise in our university based on our philosophical viewpoint. In other words, there are other possible viewpoints. Now, this dominant perspective always privileges certain groups over others, and that is the problem. There are privileges academians that, because they come from the Eurocentric, Western-centric concept of education, their ideas, and they have the funding as well, so the idea always overpower the indigenous ontologies of the first world people. And so for us in our university, when we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about it, looking at it from other perspective. And of course, his colleague. Thank you. There's a huge time difference. It's 4 a.m. In Hawaii. So The king is working on that. Yes, it's 4 a.m. there.
Oh,
Bless
very.
him.
Oh,
So,
we didn't realize that before, isn't it?
yeah. No, I knew, but I told him that, we are going to disturb his sleep if he doesn't mind. And then he said the staff are just waking up to come and help him. We'll continue.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Not to
he will
worry.
join us. Bless him. So, yeah, we look at the emancipatory concept. Now, the next philosophy that our university foundation is built on is what we call the transpersonal higher education. That is based on the transpersonal philosophy of education. And what is that? We believe that transpersonal education proposed by Clark has said that, like other science, the core goal of transpersonal education is the question of value, meaning, and purpose. Now, the dominant hegemony of education is based on the ontology of materialism. And this is where our university is very unique and different. We operate a spiritual framework, and that framework is based on the ontological foundation that the true essence of reality of who we are is a spiritual entity. The dominant Western philosophy of education has been educating the mind and the body, and they've excluded the whole concept of the spiritual entity that our true essence of who we are. And so therefore, you will see graduates from different universities are struggling with a sense of self, struggling with self-identity, having issues with self-concept. In fact, we argue in the transpersonal education movement that humanity is in crisis of identity. Why? Because our ontological foundation is built on the concept of materialism. Man is treated as just mind and body, and that to us is highly reductionist in its approach. Man has been reduced to matter and material elements, and we know by experiential knowledge, and in most of the first world ontologies and indigenous psychology, they have the concept of spiritual dimension to their existence. We believe that man is a spirit trying to have a physical experience. And that is the fundamental ideology of transpersonal education philosophy. Therefore, we argue that the true education is to educate your spirit. However, the dominant hegemony of philosophy of education completely disregard that aspect of human existence. So the world has been living in a reality that is only the cognitive that is being educated. The spiritual side that brings wisdom of the ages is not educated. And that is one of the fundamental philosophy of this university. We believe that spirituality is the foundation of true curriculum. Any sustainability agenda that does not incorporate the spiritual dimension of human existence in relation to its environment is definitely not going to be complete. In other words, we are saying that holistic education includes the spirit. I'm going to pause now and I will take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction of an innovative way. I mean, it is not an innovative, it is indigenous way of explaining how we can relate to nature and transforming ourselves. Of course, education cannot give this spiritual enlightenment, and that has to be created from our own self. Thank you for highlighting that. I would invite anyone who want to ask question or have any comments on this.
There is one question in the chat box. What are the criteria for admission to the university? Chat box.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, it's normal criteria. However, every student will engage in transpersonal education philosophy. That is the core. All our students will engage in transpersonal education philosophy because that is our unique philosophy of education. Thank you.
There is another question also. Does the
Yes.
university have some scholarship?
Of course, every university does that. We have scholarship, but it's based on criteria that are determined by the university. Yeah.
But the thing to note is online university, isn't it? And it can be like on a flexible basis, like and it does not take your mainstream education or mainstream work. It can be done as a ad hoc education and all courses. It only adds a lot of weightage on what you have achieved. You become a more comprehensive, more competent in addressing the issues, and also building confidence of yourself. I believe that is the outcome, most significant outcome of this type of education. Is the admission
Yes.
open to all races? Of course, that is a very good question.
In fact, thank you, is it Madam Rotimi? Thank you for that question. Now, we don't see color in our university because we are a transpersonal higher education university. We don't see color. Why is that? Because in transpersonal psychology, men are spirits trying to create a physical experience. In other words, spirit does not have any color and spirit does not have any gender. So we don't see color, we don't see races. So every human is welcome in the university. Thank you.
Would love to provide some technological trainings if there is the interest at the university level, provide certificates on AI, VR, and metaverse and micro credential. Yes, of course, William. You are definitely welcome to get in touch with me and Professor to move this forward.
Thank you.
Any other question? Of course, I don't think there is ever question of, like in online education and this type of education, we ever have any question of color or race. Actually, it is about indigenous people, and we know that there are plenty of indigenous tribes at local level, and I think we have got now the indigenous voice everywhere, and this is above all bringing them to on the mainstream community. Okay, Lloyd has a question. Yes, welcome, Lloyd. Lloyd is another co-host, our global co-host. I'm very proud to have you, and
Hello.
it's interesting. Please come on board.
Hello.
Thank you, and good to meet you, Professor Hassan.
Thank
I'm
you.
just coming here from Toronto in Canada, and
Okay.
I unfortunately didn't get a chance to promote this event, and I'm going to be doing that actually as we're on this call, so all of our members in UnityNet will also be able to join and have an opportunity. But I was basically wanting to ask you whether that university, you showed us the website, does it actually have a physical campus? And if yes, where is the campus, or are there more than one campus in London or in Hawaii or wherever they might be?
Yes. Thank you, Lord, for your question. Yes, our methodology of operating the business of education, we believe that the world has become a digital global village. And so at the center of that approach is what we call university without walls. And so we operate an online university, however, through partnership, we also deliver hybrid curriculum as well. So the headquarters of the university is Hawaii, and because the university is an extension of the Sovereign Kingdom of Hawaii, we received the degree awarding power from the Kingdom of Hawaii Royal Accreditation Commission Board. So our headquarters is in Hawaii, even though the academy is a British academy. And so that is the operation. And then we have various partnerships in countries across the globe, in Indonesia, in Nigeria, in Kenya. So, and then we're also open to partnership, with you as well, to spread the philosophy, because we believe that humanity is in crisis of identity. That is our belief. Because any ontology that is based on materialism will lead to dead end. We notice that when you look at the dominant philosophy of education, the cognitive domain, according to Bloom's philosophy of education, has been achieved. But when you look at the affective domain, there is a problem, because we now have graduates coming from a 3-year higher education experience, and they are still confused about who they are, and you see people suffering from crisis of identity. And our argument in the transpersonal education philosophy movement is that any curriculum that does not embrace a spiritual framework, it is not holistic. I rest my case.
Yeah, so actually, I'm hopeful that Professor Hassan, you will be able to work with us as well within UnityNet. We have established what we call an Indigenous Global Unity Network. We actually did about 2 years of Indigenous Global Unity Summit events. We finished that at the end of 2023. We did it every week. We now have a global network on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn. It is growing now. And this year, we're beginning to talk about undertaking some actual demonstration projects of some of what we call the Community Unity Garden Learning Center concept. Again, a hybrid concept where we actually establish what we call these story pods and work with local communities, especially Indigenous peoples and communities. And of course, we're here in Canada. There are many Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island, North America. We want to connect the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island with the Indigenous peoples of the rest of the world, especially across Africa. So I'm hopeful that we might be able to embrace your part of what your vision for this university is, and bring this philosophy into the real world, in campuses across, like in the physical campuses of our universities around the world, so that this idea of, I think it's been embodied here in North America in this concept of the vision quest of young people going through that process of understanding who they are and what is their purpose in life. And that is the vision quest concept of education, where we mentor those young people to understand themselves and their talents and their passions. We want to create a whole generation of passionaries.
Absolutely. Amazing.
So hopefully we can connect afterwards and continue this conversation.
Definitely, Mr. Lloyd, we will do that.
Sure, Lloyd, we are trying to cascade these throughout the world as an ambassadorship. So someone who can take leadership in their country can develop these, and what we can do with the course, with the philosophy, like they can learn, but we can also integrate this practical part of what you are saying, the pod and storytelling and so on, and that can be a practical part which we can integrate with it and we can accredit that type of activity as well along with the course.
Yes. So absolutely, I believe it is necessary to identify those leaders, mentor those young people to become the next generation of leaders. We are using a concept in UnityNet where we say, look, It was actually said so long ago that the philosophy of the classroom in one generation becomes the philosophy of the government in the next. And so this is where we'd like to bring forward leaders who understand themselves and understand their place in the world and their essence in terms of uplifting all people and ensuring that we're not just leaving nobody behind, but ensuring that everybody is successful. And that is our concept.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lord. Nice meeting.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Rebuka, can I start the launching? We are almost 30 minutes.
Yes,
can I
we
start
can.
Official launching? Okay.
Please.
So thank you once again. And we are very excited for having every one of you to this very important event. So I'm going to commence the introduction of this new initiative, which becomes the main event of the day. So today, we are launching our institutes, and that is the very Institute of Transpersonal Sustainability Development Studies. I declare this officially open, and I'm going to explain certain concepts and certain framework that is behind the Institute. So the Institute of Transpersonal Sustainability Development Studies is a new faculty or institute under the university, el-rol London University, and is also working with our Institute of Transpersonal Leadership Development as well. And so bringing transpersonal concept into sustainability development studies is a key there. And let's have a look at certain philosophical and conceptual framework behind this institute. We believe that the Institute of Transpersonal Sustainable Development Studies of the el-rol London University will deliver a world-class research, learning, and teaching that transform the knowledge, action, and leadership needed for more equitable and sustainable development globally based on our philosophy, the transpersonal philosophy of education. Going further, we believe that transpersonal development considers the deepest dimension of experience and the highest potential of consciousness, essential for optimal human function. Looking at the word transpersonal, which simply means going beyond the personal, transpersonal. It often entails consciously integrating the spiritual experience into our lives rather than pathologizing it or making it a taboo, which is what we see in the dominant philosophy of education in the world today. Talk about spirituality. Spirituality has been pathologized, especially among the indigenous spiritual belief system. And this is what this institution tend to eradicate, the misconception of pathologizing the very essence of who we are, which is we are spirit trying to have a physical experience. And such integration allows a life full of meaning to emerge when you embrace the ontological foundation of spirituality. In other words, the careful exploration of the wide spectrum of human psycho-spiritual development activates the self-healing function of consciousness, which opens the way towards wholeness, health, and fulfillment. And so that is the transpersonal dimension of our existence. I'm bringing this now into eco-psychology. What is eco-psychology? Eco-psychology seeks to expand and remedy the emotional connection between humans and nature, treating people psychologically by bringing them spiritually closer to nature. This is so important. If we are going to achieve the sustainability agenda, we need a shift It critically examines the concept of eco-psychology, bringing the spiritual dimension of nature and going beyond the emotional connection of humans with nature itself. Therefore, eco-psychology is an interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary field that focuses on the synthesis of ecology and psychology and the promotion of sustainability. It's distinguished from conventional psychology as it focuses on studying the emotional bond between humans and the earth. Eco-psychology brings psychology and ecology together to study the human psyche within the legal system of which we are all part of that. The theoretical base of eco-psychology sees the earth as a living system. So the earth is a living system. And imagine when humans understand the emotional and the spiritual connection between the earth and the human spirit, knowing fully well that we are all part of the universal consciousness based on the creationism philosophy of the nature of the earth. And therefore, embracing this ideological foundation will require a paradigm shift in the way humans see nature. And then we come to our dear concept, transpersonal eco-psychology. Now, transpersonal eco-psychology provides a new way of thinking about and understanding human meaning and purpose as embedded, particularly in the ecosystem, rather than we are just binary way of thinking of ourselves as other and nature. That is, we are divided from nature. We are not divided from nature. We are part and parcel of nature itself and the environment. Now, this concept brings the spiritual, the psycho-emotional, the social-cultural, and the ecological aspect of existence together in an integrated framework. Now, in the realm of holistic well-being and sustainable coexistence, we are saying that it is transpersonal eco-psychology concept that bring holistic development and attitudinal disposition to the whole essence of sustainability. That is our main argument in this institution. Therefore, we say transpersonal eco-psychology emerges as a profound approach that delves into the intricate tapestry of the human nature relationship. At its core, this transformative discipline extends beyond conventional psychological paradigms, bridging the gap between the individual psyche and the greater natural world. Through a harmonious fusion of transpersonal psychology and eco-psychology, it offers a unique perspective that not only heals, but also nurtures the intricate bond we share with environment. In other words, humans and the environment are part of the universal consciousness. We are from the same source in transpersonal eco-psychology belief system. In this comprehensive exploration, we delve into the foundational principle. Not only that, the therapeutic application and the transcendental impact of transpersonal eco-psychology. Our Institute Ontology for Transpersonal Eco-Psychology is based on the philosophy of creationism. As we know that three Abrahamic religions are creationist religion, and some of the world indigenous ontology are also. Therefore, we know and we understand from the concept of creationism that the earth and the humans living on this planet are from the same creative, miraculous act of the divine. When a man understands that both the nature and the environment are from the same source, they will have the ethical motivation to preserve and to look after the planet. Now, we said creationism deepens our ecological consciousness, and this discipline ignites a deepening ecological consciousness and our awareness of our connectedness with the earth. As individuals cultivate a sense of responsibility towards the environment, a collective movement towards sustainability is nurtured. We believe that movement should be based on a spiritual framework. Then we talk about transpersonal sustainable psychology. What is that? The expanded self-identity, that is transpersonal eco-psychology, expands our sense of self beyond individual boundaries, encompassing the broader community and the natural system. Now, this expanded self-identity encourages empathy, what's this? Compassion, and a sense of responsibility towards the environment. Let's pause for a while on this junction. The expanded self-identity. We know that the problem with depletion of the natural resources and the overly use, like for example, deforestation, it can be attributed to our identity and the relationship between human identity and nature. But when you understand the expanded identity that the transpersonal concept brings into the human psyche, naturally, you will be moved by compassion and a sense of responsibility towards the environment. Why? Because you believe and you understand that I'm an integral part of nature, and therefore I'm not separated from nature. In other words, the transpersonal scientific community is inviting us to embrace indigenous ontologies and an overall spiritual connectedness with nature in our lives. At its core, spiritual ecology recognizes the inherent sacredness and the connectedness of all life forms on our planet. It goes beyond a purely materialistic view of the world and embraces the idea that there is a deeper spiritual dimension to nature. Spiritual ecology invites us to cultivate a sense of reverence, awe, and gratitude for the earth and all its inhabitants. It encourages us to recognize that we are not separate from nature, but rather an integral part of it. I'm going to pause and I'll take questions. Thank you.
I see the presence of King, so we will invite him. Please, can you invite the King?
Your Royal Highness, you are welcome to take over the proceedings. Thank you, sir. Aloha, Your Royal Highness. Let's wait for you.
Yes,
While
while
we
we
wait for you, yes, you have question, please go ahead. Lloyd, ask your question, please.
Well, I just put up my hand because it sounded like, or didn't sound like there was any audio coming in from Royal Highness. So I'm not sure if there was some issues there, but I wanted to just say I absolutely love this presentation and what you are, your philosophy of this organization and the teachings. This is in perfect alignment to what we are trying to also achieve. And I think that your university and this movement toward this kind of spiritual educational system of understanding ourselves and our connection to nature, our embeddedness as part of nature, is really, really key to the messages that we want to deliver through a project we call the Story Pod initiative projects, where we want to engage with all young people in all schools, especially the youngest, in our public schools, in our even all the way down to kindergartens, in terms of really having young people especially understand that connectedness. So I'm hopeful that we'll really be able to work with those people that are passionate about making this change in the whole paradigm of development. As we look ahead, we're actually thinking in terms of what do we want to achieve beyond sustainability? How can we regenerate the earth? And so we are thinking around sustainable development for the next 6 years or so until 2030. But beyond 2030, another set of goals will emerge. And so this next set of goals, the next 15 years from 2030 to 2045, what will young people be doing as they take over the economy? They need to regenerate the earth, and they need to understand themselves and their talents in terms of that understanding of what is their purpose in life, is to undo the damage that's been done for the past several hundred years, especially from the Industrial Revolution and everything that's happening now, and this unraveling that they call them. In many people call it this meta crisis, or the poly crisis, that we're now entering this phase of humanity, where we are being bombarded with so many problems and issues, but there are solutions, and the solutions come down to us and our behavior and how we engage with each other and the natural world, and our understanding of our embeddedness within it. And so I think if your organization and those on this call, and Dr. Thakor and others in her network can all work together to tell that story, because it is about the story of ourselves. And that's why we call it the Story Pods. It's allowing us to emerge as a new species that is in tune with ourselves and in tune with nature, so we can move forward to this next stage of evolution of humanity.
Thank you, Lloyd. To take it to the kids and to the young people, we need teachers and parents to learn these. And that is what also is one of the expertise of Professor Femi Ivan. He has undertaken a great number of teachers training for this philosophy.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a great privilege. I always say that it's a great privilege to be alive, at this stage in the whole history of humanity, and also, pardon me, I will keep on going back to the indigenous psychology, because I'm an indigenous man. I was born in Nigeria. I was born in a town called Elisha, and I always say that is where God lives. And this is the headquarters of creativity. So I'm an indigenous person, and His Royal Majesty is also from the indigenous nation of Hawaii. And so we believe, and when you look at the philosophy of our indigenous people, they have this spiritual connection with nature. They see nature as part of who they are. And because of that, their relationship towards nature is very sacred. And that sense of sacredness is what allows them to maintain and to preserve the resources of the earth. But like you said, Lloyd, when the Industrial Revolution comes in, there was a paradigm shift. And then the materialistic concept of our existence has invaded such sacredness. And therefore, capitalist agenda, which is based on profit making at the all expense, has led to the deforestation that we are experiencing today, and also in the imbalance in the ecosystem. And so we argue in the transpersonal sustainability movement is that we need to go back to the original ontology. And that is based on a spiritual framework, that when a man understands his connectedness to the nature, he will, by the virtue of his intrinsic value system, will be able to look after nature. It will come naturally. But to do that, we need to educate the spirit, not just the mind. That is our argument.
No, this is I'm so happy. Thank you, Dr. Thakur, for hosting this event and introducing us to Professor Hassan and this new university. I think this is just incredible work that you're trying to do. It's something that we have been trying to connect with the people into this this change in the world that we are seeing, and it is happening in many realms, but we need to connect those who have a deeper understanding. And that you're right, the indigenous people that I've come across here in the North American Turtle Island understand this as well, and you can see and understand when they talk about their connectedness and they talk about all our relations, and it is not just relationships between people, it's the relationships between the birds, the animals, the grass, the flowers, the rocks, the river, the water, the oceans, the lakes, everything in the soils. It's all our relations.
Yeah. It is so beautiful.
Lloyd, I think since yesterday, or I would say since the summit we have started, and this is the fourth episode of our summit, and I have been enlightened every time anyone who comes and speaks here. You know, it is such an interesting, I mean, enhancing my knowledge each and every day. Oh, here we are.
Aloha, Your Royal Majesty.
You need to unmute.
We can't hear you, sir.
Aloha and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome.
It's 6 in the morning here in Hawaii.
We are very grateful.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. While I was offline, I was on a call, which is very, very important. But nice to see everybody here. Aloha, Professor. How are you, Ambassador? You good?
Yeah, aloha. Thank you. I would like to introduce the convener and the visionary behind the conference, Dr. Radhika Thakur. She's here. She's a major partner with the university. And then also Mr. Lloyd is also here. We also have an indigenous royal in the audience. We have His Royal Highness Rotimi Ikubaigbe. I think I pronounced it very well. He's from my tribe, so we are in the company of the royals. So over to you, Your Royal Majesty. Thank you for your presence.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to read your name. Are you from the Philippines?
Me?
Yes.
I am Renuka Thakur and originally from India. Just now I'm
India.
based in UK.
Ah, wonderful. And you have Prince Rotimi?
Yes, here
Yes.
we have. I don't. Rotimi was having some problem with his phone and laptop, so probably we may not be able to see, but he is here.
And we have Professor Hamad from Egypt. And all of you. Wonderful.
Yes, I'm accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure meeting everyone. I always want to participate and support the good work of Professor Olufami here, because he does really good work. And I just told him the other day that we will be opening ROI University in the Hawaiian Islands, as well as in Arizona. Why Arizona? First of all, because Arizona has a lot of indigenous Native Americans. You have the Hopi tribe, you have Cherokee, you have the Navajo, you have all these individuals, and we want to bring higher education to all the indigenous people here as well. And Hawaii, only because that's where I am, that's where the kingdom is, and we're building that as well. But aside from the two universities, we're also looking at bringing trade schools as well. These trade schools are very, very important. Identifying the proper trade school will be something very, very beautiful, because the world is changing dramatically, and how education fits in there will determine the next step for the next generations. So rather than having classes and curriculums designed around big corporate entities, we want to design curriculums that will be in conformity with a person's abilities. Some people are better at being mechanics, for an example, or airline, or whatever it is. That's what we want to work on, is the ability of that individuals to honor his or her educational prowess to do well in life. And rather than to and as we study about transpersonal leadership, this is all evolves around that aspect. And rather than having an individuals think about, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, because that they think that's where the money is. On the contrary, the money is in the heart. The money is doing what you love doing best.
Yes,
that serves humanity, that serves towards peace, that serves the greater good. Because we are all servants. We serve one another. And in doing so, we give the highest form of education and bring back the humanity to the root of who we are as people. But thank you for welcoming me here. I'm sorry that my stay is going to be short, but I need to get back to some of the events that I'm working on. Before I leave, Professor Ambassador, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, Dr. Reduka and Mr. Lloyd, please, the floor is yours. Any question you have for His Royal Highness. But the Royal Highness is the Chancellor of the university.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Of course, we don't have any question, but I would like to thank you for this precious time given to us. And I'm very grateful that it has happening, that your launch is co-hosted by me, and that is a great pleasure. We, along as you mentioned that you want to focus on the studies or the, to transform people, and I mean, not transform people, but the transpersonal objective that you have, and we want to create leadership. Here, this Global Sustainable Future Network is also trying to do something that is trying to transform the leadership. We are bringing interdependent, collaborative leadership, and it is totally voluntary work we are doing here to get this collectiveness. And also being an independent and interdependent. That is what we are trying to do here, make a collective voice for the change that we want, and to be the, designers of co-designing our own future. And the philosophy that you have will be an important one for us to digest and follow. So thank you very much for honoring us with your presence. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I would like to make two corrections. One is that we're not trying, we are making it happen. There's no such thing as try. We either are going to do it or not doing it.
Yes.
So my philosophy has always been to do it, and everything will fall in place. The other correction I would like to say is that it's not a correction, but a statement is that if you take an arrow, one arrow, you can break it. You take two arrows, you can still break it. But you take 4 or 5 arrows and try and break it, it's difficult to break because that is the strength of who we are collectively. And it is that strength that we have collectively that will enable us to do the things that we are fixed on doing. And the reward, and when you mentioned that volunteer this and so forth, volunteers are invaluable because volunteers serve not only the human family, but the natural world and nature. And it serves the mandate of what God intended for us to do. It's not about money. It's not about big, beautiful palaces or houses. I'm a simple king. I come from a generation of kings who fought with his people, along with his people. I like to take a pick and dig the garden with my people. I don't sit on a throne and just bark orders. That is not how you lead. So transpersonal leadership is about leading, and it's leading from the front, not from the back. It's doing all things from the mind, the body, and the spirit. So, but thank you for your presentation and what you said. I would like to ask a question of you. The government there in Indonesia has experienced many different changes, economic changes, security changes. Each time there's a huge tsunami, there's a lot of changes there. What is the government doing now? I mean, I know the government, I speak with them, but I want to know from your perspective, as an educator and wanting to be a leader as such, what do you see the government should be doing for the betterment of its people there in Indonesia?
Sorry, I think I was not being clear. I am from India, not
India.
Indonesia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But your question is valid for every country, I think.
You're right. It
Today's
is.
scenario is something that we need to ask every government that what are you doing for the people to diminish the impacts of climate change or the social inequality that is happening around the world. And we had a very good discussion this morning, especially from the point of view of reforestation. That, of course, we know that reforestation will bring that strength of addressing climate change, diminishing our global warming, and that asset will provide us plenty of roadmap to decrease our carbon emissions and go balance again to net zero. However, and many communities are doing that work. Many people are voluntarily also doing that work. But still, we are not able to get to that scale where what we need. And it is because I think political will is missing. And everywhere, I believe that government knows what to do. There are very exemplar, incidents around the world, and we can learn from one another. But still, they don't want to do, because if that does not remain, then they will not be powerful. That is the one thing. And one other thing is that the political will is not that strong enough. And therefore, I think they have to just make sure, bring that confidence, will within themselves, and the trust within the community as well, that they will be able to do it. If I think it is more about selfishness within individuals compared to how we want to serve the community. So that balance is not happening. I would say that.
Well, I apologize. India, I meant. But India has its own set of problems, quite a bit of problems. They have one of the highest homelessness there in Calcutta and other places there in India. There is India has probably one of the most highest billionaire community there with lots of money and wealth there, but yet the people are still depressed and desensitized because of the problems and issues that still arises there in India. I'm very familiar with most countries, if not all countries, shortcomings. I want to rephrase my question to say, as an individual citizen of India, and I'll ask the question of Mr. Lloyd coming up soon. What is your contribution to helping India to become a better country, a better nation? To talk about it means nothing unless there's action supporting the what is being said.
Yeah, so individually, I think, and this is what this platform is trying to do. I mean, again, not trying to do, doing, as you said, we are doing, and we are providing this space. This space was created for everyone to get on board wherever, without any limitations, to voice their thing, to give a voice to everyone, because this is free. This is we do not have any prescription in a sense of any restriction that who can join. We are not asking for qualification. We are not asking for anyone that you are employed, not employed, or where are you from, and so on. The only limitation we have that someone may not be able to join our platform if they do not have digital or internet facility. And that is, but still we are trying to deliver the same objectives through now developing local hubs, that at least one person of that community is able to connect us, then we will be able to give them a voice through that community or leader. And that is what we want to build here. This platform is, the core objective of this platform is to leaving no one behind. So we want to bring every voice is here, including whether they are from India or from any other country. Today, I think I have become a global citizen rather than focusing myself or relating myself to India or UK. And I believe that my intention is to bring everyone together, learn from each other, and celebrate what we need to celebrate, but also to address what is not celebrated. Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate your thoughts there. We can go on and on discussing philosophy and theories and etc. And that's always good. But I will table that for another time. But I would like to say it's important to know the qualifications of everyone here, because that's the only way you know how to help them to enhance their objective, their abilities as to what they want to do as leaders. And without knowing what a person's qualification is, it is very difficult to make a determination as to how you should conduct this platform or how you should conduct a curriculum for them to advance. So I will be talking to the professor here, who is my ambassador for the Kingdom of Hawaii, there in London. But I will qualifications. It doesn't mean that the person have to have a high education. It just means that when a platform is created, you want to enhance their abilities, not degrade their abilities. And as you enhance their abilities, become better leaders. So qualification is very, very important, because then you know where they're at. If they're here and you are here, we need to bring them here to there, to where you're at, not from here to there. So you need to have that perspective. Thank you very much. Lloyd, I want to ask you, where are you from?
So I'm in Toronto area of Canada, on Turtle Island. So the greater what we call the Greater Toronto bioregion. So we in UnityNet we think in terms of bioregions. So we have a bioregional approach. I'm in the what's called the Don River watershed. We take a watershed approach to establishing empowerment networks, and that's actually where I would like to continue having a conversation, perhaps through Professor Hassan, in having some discussions in particular with some of the team members that we are putting together some actual projects in the pipeline here on Turtle Island, in places like Manhattan, New York, and in San Francisco. We're talking about a project as well out in British Columbia, Canada, and possibly here in the Toronto area as well. I would like to actually connect again through the Professor Hassan with some folks that are actually with an eco-village project called the Maui Aloha Project. So actually there is a team in Hawaii on the island of Maui that is trying to establish what we call the Community Unity Learning Center models to reconnect our young people back to nature, to reconnect them back to understanding themselves and their purpose. So this is where I'm hoping that we can continue these conversations about thinking in terms of leadership. So what we are actually trying to do, and you mentioned it almost in the words that you were just saying about becoming better leaders. We have this concept and philosophy of bringing everyone forward. So going beyond this idea of leaving no one behind, where we want to uplift everybody, discover their talents, discover their passions, and then create the empowerment systems that allow them to flourish as people and to bring their best forward, as you said. So this idea of creating what we call an abundance economy. So moving beyond even just sustainability to something where we can reimagine ourselves in a world of, rather than the current economy, which is a scarcity economy, we create a different type of economy of abundance where all people become producers of the better world we want to see. And so that is where we are hoping that engagement on the ground in actually doing things, as you say, let's become doers as opposed to talkers and just having just these discussions. We want to start delivering these actual hands-on experiences. And that includes the spiritual experiences of being one with nature, having our leaders understand that, but rather looking at only the leadership to lead. The leadership we have in the current system, especially democracy, those are representatives. They are intended to be those who unlike the system of governance of the powerful and the servants, we have under the democratic system the representations where we elect our leaders based on, currently it's a system of I'm trying to think of the word, but the current system of leadership today is based around popularity. So it is a populist system where many of the original indigenous systems of democracy, true democracy, had leadership decision-making systems where the individual, that populist concept, was actually attempted to be removed. So the leaders would always be chosen by the council members based on their idea and philosophy of collective well-being.
Yeah.
So the under the indigenous council system of leadership, rather than populism, which is the current system, they would look at these transformative systems of governance that especially involved young people and elders and women and different aspects across society. So we are looking at as well trying to demonstrate within the context of these eco-village, what we call eco-village centers of excellence, different types of governance systems that we may be able to actually help to establish by creating these local empowerment networks at the grassroots level in all our local watersheds. As I said, we work on a watershed basis and bioregional basis for the way we have our perspective on both the governance side as well as the leadership and infrastructure side of development as we move into this next phase of sustainable to regenerative development. So this is where I'm hoping that where we can find some synergies will be to continue our conversations following this event as well with whomever may be on these calls, but probably through Professor Hassan. I would like to essentially answer that question that you had earlier about what we are doing, what I am doing.
But before you get there, hold on. Before you get there, I want to, you said a lot I want to unpack right now. First of all, you mentioned Turtle Island. I work in tandem with all the Native Americans. I am Native. You mentioned democracy versus tribal cultural or traditional leadership, which he didn't come out and say, but that's what you're alluding to. Tribal leadership or indigenous leadership was based primarily on the event of the day, the event of the week or year, and someone was selected back in historical leadership that knew how to navigate through the different environments that this particular land was subjected to. And then the leadership became more and more evident that the First Nations people, such as myself, lived in harmony with nature, the natural world, and with God. And that is where I understand that you're looking to see, going back, you mentioned that you have people in Maui who are working. I'm very familiar with everything that goes on my islands. And there are people that come to the islands with good intentions, but the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Because rather than being in harmony with the indigenous people there, they try to change their minds and say, well, you need to think this way rather than that way because your way is not working well. That is not true. That is a lie. That is a lie. So when people come to my islands, they need to come with the understanding that they need to work in harmony with the people there, with its land, with its natural resources, or who they are. Similarly, if I'm talking to the tribe, the Native Americans on Turtle Island, whether it's the Nez Perce, whether it's Apaches, whether it's Navajos, Blackfoot, or any of those, or Hopis. And when I speak to them, I speak very plain, so that they understand. The purpose of any type of leadership is to encourage people to work first to understand their culture, then to understand their tradition, to understand who they are, to understand their language, to understand their ancestors, the teachings. Those were good teachings. Those, when colonization came, they screwed everything up because they tried to make them European. They tried to make them this and this and that. And all of a sudden you have chaos and problems and issues, Lloyd. These things, what you're saying is false. Much of the things you're saying is incorrect. Because in order to understand any culture, any tradition, anything, you must work in harmony with the people there. That's proper leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guide people to where they're having a misunderstanding. Then you guide them to your thinking. Politics. You mentioned politicians. You mentioned democracy. I bet you've also asked you, what does democracy mean? I promise you, you will not give me the correct answer. There's democracy, there's monarchical, there's all these different governments. Because you will be echoing what everybody else says that democracy is. And all of you would be wrong. Democracy first is learning who you are as a person, number one. Number two is what does the Great Spirit mean to you, which is God to me, and how he influences your life. The Creator that created all the earth, all nature, and all that stuff, that's God. Man cannot be God, but yet they try to impress upon others that they must do this. If they don't, the man says, well, I'm going to send in my police, I'm going to send in my military, I'm going to squash you. I'm going to force you into living and understanding and working with who I am. That is not democracy. That is a democracy that's spread around today. COVID-19, for an example, was a lie. Yet people say that, but the government says you have to now go and hide in your house because other people are going to get sick from you. That was a lie. That's not democracy. None of that is true. But yet these and you mentioned the word elected officials. These elected officials, are they truly elected by the people to represent the people? So you said a lot here, Lloyd, that will take time to unpack. And it's my position that I listen very carefully first. It's my position to at least steer people to be self-thinking individuals. Leaders need to be self-thinking individuals, not echoing what people say in the past. These are the type of people that become wonderful, beautiful leaders. And that's the type of leaders that I'm looking for. That I'm looking forward to continue, where I can say, why don't you, well, let's do this. Let us help you do this. I'm always looking for change to improve myself because I don't know all the answers. But if someone can give me a better platform to gravitate to and can teach me, I'm blessed because I can do that. But this is this whole thing, personal relationship, leadership, etc., is a lot deeper than saying I'm a leader. I'm a president of a corporation, or I'm a general of an army, or any of that stuff, because that's all superficial stuff. Because transpersonal leadership is who you are, who you know you are. That's what you take to heaven when you die. Not all these gold and silver that people want to accumulate. You take that massive wealth to heaven, you can share with the angels up there. So for me, Lloyd, I thank you for what you said. I look forward to hearing more about your thinking, and I think that'd be wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would just like to add a comment here that, of course, here we are learning from each other. And today, I think I have heard a very good thing which you mentioned, that leadership is
Honesty.
in ourselves, and that is what we must discover.
Mm.
And that makes a person a beautiful person. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do anyone have any questions before I leave this platform?
I do. This is William. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your passion.
Aloha, Mr. Jackson. How are you?
I'm doing very well. This is such a blessing to hear you talk and share information. And I never expected I'm lost for words right now, but thank you for what you're sharing. And I apply what you're sharing with us as a teacher and as a parent, because I think one of the things, and please share your thoughts on this, one of the things that is a travesty, that when people come into a community and an environment, and I shared this before, the people that live in that particular area or that have been there are not asked what can be done to help them. It's always whoever says something, they say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to whatever. But no one ever asks the people in that region or that area, what do you need help with and what resources need to be available. And anytime my wife and I were doing a workshop or whatever with a community, we always ask them, what do you need help with? What kind of knowledge do you need? What do you need us to train you on? Is more effective than us saying, okay, well, we're going to teach you everything we know about AI, but they may not need that. Or we're going to teach you everything about metaverse, but they may not need that now. Maybe that's later, but they may just need foundational, practical aspects. And I wanted to get your idea and your thoughts on that, asking the community first what they need.
Mr. Jackson, that is a beautiful question, but you already know the answer. I can tell by your face, it glows. I can tell that you have a good heart. I can tell that each word you say has been measured, because you be very specific and very clear in your presentation as to how you frame that. And I honor that. That's very respectful, and I thank you. But you already know the answer. And oftentimes when you go into an area, your eyes see first everything that's there. Then your eyes try to connect with the brain. So the brain and eyes can say, okay, brain, I see this. My eyes are seeing this. Brain, what do you see here, brain? And the brain will kind of talk to you about the problems and the issues that's there. And then you also have the ears, and the ears will hear. All those things happens, and then the mouth speaks. But the mouth doesn't speak from here, but the mouth speaks from here. Because then you put yourself in that person's shoes, and then you say to myself, now that makes sense to me. And then the words, I'd love to help you. How can I help? Becomes stronger, more vibrant. If you're looking at colors, the colors would just become more and more vibrant. And what the people will see is your good heart, and that will gravitate them to you. Not so much what you say, because as I mentioned earlier, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Right. But whose intentions are theirs? Is it theirs or yours? Or is it a community? Who is it? I gave a speech. Well, I gave several speeches. I don't know why, but people like to sit down and chat with me often. And when I'm one-on-one with someone, I first tell them we need to go into a prayer. And as a king, I believe that one of the greatest kings, aside from Christ, was Melchizedek and King Benjamin. And all these people led not by what they said, but what they did. They did. When they saw someone struggling, trying to dig up the land to grow food for the families and neighbors, the king went out there and dug with them. and his guards and everybody would get a shovel and they would do the same thing. That is a good king. And back in ancient times, kings was not elected because bad people can elect their leaders because the bad people want favors. The king was anointed by God. And that is why the prophets came and said that you have been chosen by God. But if you look at this historically, the politicians and who a true monarchical person is, a good or true king is always anointed by God. Because you cannot rig the election. You can't do any of that stuff. But you can, with elected officials, who have the money and the wherewithal to elect you. But back to your question, and I said it was a beautiful question, is you already know the answer, and you're doing a good job there. And how are you surviving all of that, and are you making an impact, you and your wife?
Well, first, we're always praying about the direction that God would have us to lead to where
Amen.
He needs us to go. And we've learned a long time ago that, we may say, well, we want to go to a particular place in the world or do some particular works, but is that the works God would have us to do? And we want to put Him first in everything that we're doing. So we're showing our faith through our words, deeds, and actions, but we're also sharing the knowledge that He's blessed us to gain, so that way the world benefits. And particularly youth, teens, and young adults, teaching them, about being creative and being innovative and the passions that they have within themselves, but not to keep it, but to continuously share it with the world, but then to be global learners and be global leaders as well, because the world still needs to understand that we are a global economy, we're a global society, we're here to help each other, be a blessing to each other, and to make each generation understand that they have a responsibility to make the world a better place. It's not about degrees, it's not about having a PhD or whatever. It's about you gaining that knowledge and how you can share it with the world, and how you can and bless your community and your family and those around you. So we try to instill in that when we're traveling and when we're talking to people.
That's beautiful. I think what I'm hearing and I understand is that no matter where you go, Mr. Jackson, let people feel your aura. Let them feel your conviction and your strength. That's what leaders are. Leaders are quiet people. But when they speak, every word is intentional. Every word that comes from my mouth is intentional, because I speak from where I'm grounded, and my grounded or my foundation is strong. It's based on faith. It's based on knowledge, wisdom, and that's where it's based on. And when anybody do a fact check on anything, they can say, "Wow, the king's right."
Mm-hmm.
But only because it comes from a strong base, and that is what I see with you, and that is very good. Pleasure meeting you, Mr. Williams.
Nice to meet you. Hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
God willing.
God willing. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions before I say aloha?
We have one question in the chat. I believe because the his 1 second, I will come to that. I hear the question is, if you are to have partnership with other communities, what form will it take as conditionalities?
That's an interesting question.
The question is from Rotini.
If you have any type of partnership with anybody, you have to have a mutual agreement between each other. And that mutual agreement is very, very important. What this person's going to say or do, what you're going to say or do, you come to the middle. That's called a partnership. When one partner is like 90% doing something, the other is 10%, that's not a partnership. It is a thing of growth, where this guy here to bring this guy up to become an equal partner. That's a matter of law. And these things are different from what we're talking about here, because what we're talking about is far more real and important, and that is bringing that person to the understanding of where the problem is. Like yesterday, I had a meeting with members of the UN and members of other governments, etc. And we're talking about the and this is not classified, so I can speak to it. They talk about my opinion or my thoughts regarding Israel and Iran, the Houthis and the terrorists, and it goes on and on. So I listened very carefully to the question, but it wasn't more so a question as it was a testimonial. So sometimes when a person asks a question, are they actually wanting to know the answer to the question, or are they giving a testimonial to something to influence their thoughts on the listening audience or the people? And so after listening to the problem and listening to what this individual said, and it relates to this individual asking about cooperativeness and working together in partnership and what have you, and how you come about it. I simply said two things. What do you want to do, and how do you plan to do it? It's not so much they want my brain to give them the answer, because most often they already have an answer inside of them, but don't know how to voice it. And the biggest problem these individuals have is, will my response be correct, or will it be wrong? And therefore, they measure themselves before they can, before they speak, because they're unsure of even the question of what they're asking. After I listened to this world leader, this individual, trying to dazzle me with all his big words, not knowing that that he didn't do a study as to who the person is in front of him. Had he known that I have 7 doctorate degrees and that I'm very intelligent, had he known that I come from a very strong indigenous background, I am Native Hawaiian. I also come from the highest link or the highest ranking authority of all of Hawaii. Had he known that, he would have treated me with, he would have been very careful in how he measured his discussion. Then I said to everybody listening, it was very surreal. And I said, Israel on October 7th had the right to defend itself from the Hamas and from what they did. Because if anybody came to my home and tried to destroy my family, I will not cower in the corner, because he's going to try and kill me anyway. I would fight back. And they had every right to do so. And then I said, but every attack has a reaction. If you continue to attack and eradicate a group of people or a nation of people, then you will look as though that you're seeking revenge. Not revenge because they killed your family or your friends, but revenge that you're wanting to eradicate everybody because of fear. And when I said the word fear, that made sense, because they fear that this might happen again. They fear that terrorism is going to continue. So because the stage was set, and that the murders occurred, and that IDF went out to in great force against those atrocities, those painful acts of violence on innocent people, they had a right. So I said, as a king, if someone came to my nation and did that, yes, I would do what was necessary, but I would not go against them out of sheer revenge, out of sheer because of anything, because I'm not afraid of them. They were afraid. When you act in fear, you do stupid things. You make unwise decisions. And as I continued to speak, he got quieter and quieter and quieter. He said, Your Royal Majesty, you're absolutely correct. That makes absolute good sense to me. And then we talk about Iran. Iran retaliated and shot their 300 ballistic missiles or whatever, and then was shot down by the allies of Israel, King Abdullah of Jordan and others came to the aid. And now there's quiet. The question was, what's going to happen from there? And I said, being quiet offers two opportunities, or two things. One, either they're calculating themselves, well, we did a big mistake. We better not do anything more because it'll ignite all of the Middle East and we're going to have a big problem and a crisis and possibly end up having a more global conflict. Or I don't want to upset the dragon, the bulldog, because it's going to cause more and more of this and what have you. So in summary, I said to the individuals listening that only time will tell. But right now, the quiet is good because from behind the scenes, people are discussing the next step and what they should do. And I'm part of that indirectly because I don't want to be involved with other countries unless it affects the Kingdom of Hawaii and friends of the kingdom. Other than that, there's a time for all seasons, the time to engage and time to step back. And that is very important. So to his question, to come together and to work as a partnership, the word partnership only has one meaning, and that is equal responsibility and equal consequences. That is good leadership. Because if you make a mistake, both of you suffer the consequences of it. And if you're successful, both of you appreciate the success of that. Not one throwing the other person under the bus. That's not leadership, and that is not partnership. And you can equate that to marriages as well. They have to be cohesive. They have to come together. It's like Mr. Jackson, when he talked about how he and his wife would go into a community and say, what can I do? Technically, he doesn't have to say that because his presence, he rolls up his sleeves and he goes and do it. And he's an example. And people see him rolling up his sleeves, they're going to roll up their sleeves. You don't have to say anything. Sometimes it's less that works better than a whole volume of words. Because a whole volume of words can fall on deaf ears. But Mr. Williams goes out there, roll up his sleeves, and go and work and say, and does that. People say, wow, what are you doing? And then he can say, well, the chair needs to be put away. Then everybody go pick up a chair. It's a simple things that we do as leaders that endear people to us. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, His Majesty, I think this is absolutely true. The last words are very important, what you mentioned, that you go to the community and do it. That's all. I think that's very important and strong message. Thank you very much.
Yes. Anybody else have any questions before I say aloha? Ruth, do you have a question?
By the way, Your Royal Majesty, Ruth is the ambassador of el-rol University to Zambia. That's our ambassador, and tomorrow they will be leading a roundtable with Dr. Takure on women empowerment. I send you the flyer. So we are looking forward to her and her team.
I understand that. You know, that's an interesting topic, women empowerment and etc. I think I think that's something that is very, very good for the women of the world to know that they're valued. And for real men, the real men of the world, they welcome a strong woman whose convictions is strong. Her love for God is strong. And she's the heart and breath of a home. And that is a good thing.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Professor Hamid from Egypt, do you have a question, sir?
Yes, thank you. Just I will change the extension because I want to see you. Yeah, you
Aloha.
see me. Welcome. It's my pleasure. Actually, I have not one question. I have a lot of questions. I have subjects. Actually, I'm from Egypt, and also actually I have a big history in my life. I'm educator since 1999. And I became a member in UNESCO and United Nations and African Union. I travel around the world more than 20 countries. What I'm doing actually, I'm a teacher, and I believe I am a teacher. I'm a teacher for all youth because I teach in international and American school in Egypt since 1999. I have more experience how I can contact with my students, and all students in my school, they love me more than their parents. I said to think what I have to deliver to them more knowledge, because it's good point for me because I found that all students love me, and that's a good point. I can move and update the knowledge for them. Actually, I started English to speak because in international school we have to all together must speaking English. But sometimes I found some students from different countries because international school you can get many nationality. I said the same trouble with the students from Netherlands, from German, from Chinese. I start to work on myself and until I learned 9 languages, support the students in their local language, and that's not agree in the school, but it's agree for me because it's friendly to deliver what I have. And then I started to create my project. Then my project it's individual actually, but it's now in the floor. Every year I have to contact with UNESCO to apply for the prize, but it's still individual. I still looking for global organization. I'm lucky this year because I contact with Dr. Inoka, and I had excellent experience from her. And now I will be forward to deliver. What I'm doing in my project, multilingual, 9 languages, computer science, music curriculum for all ages in multilingual. That's crazy. Yes, it's crazy, but it will be changed the knowledge in education around the world. I still working until I deliver what I have, because I believe that I'm a teacher, that I have delivered the knowledge. I'm not stop. That's it. Yeah, because you are special in design in curricula. I have experience in curriculum, but special style. How I do that? I still working in my project to change the world in education, but that's exciting for all students, and I'm sure for that. Or I still working in the government curriculum. It's too heavy for the students. They don't learn anything, and they hate the schools. I won't change it because in the end, the students must learn something exciting, and they will grow in new generation. Yeah, that's my. I think it's subject, not question, but yeah, I need answer. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I need to take this call real quick. Professor Olafani, are you there? Where's our professor? Yeah, give me 1 minute. Talking among each other.
Yes,
So,
he is here. Yeah, we will wait for you. Don't worry.
Yes, I need to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I say just a word or two to Professor Ahmed in Egypt? So
Yes,
the approach
please.
we're actually taking, we're in discussions with some folks at an organization, Rotary Club, here in again in Turtle Island in US. And the approach we are taking is not around educating children, but as was talked about at the beginning, around having young people discover their own talents and passions, and then providing them with the tools that will allow them to learn. So allow them to become lifelong learners, people who throughout their lives are passionate about being able to discover the answers for themselves, rather than trying to give young people the answers. We want to approach education from the point of view of being able to make them want to continue to learn and become strivers, to have that passion for always becoming better people and always being better at whatever they are passionate about, and making those talents the best that they
Lloyd,
can
can
be.
Thank you.
stop you? His Highness is here back, so we can continue later. So
Aloha. I'd like
Thank
to
you.
answer to Professor Hamid's question, but before I answer the question, I want to say that your passion for education speaks loudly, as you mentioned, from music to probably cooking. You probably be a good chef somewhere and learn the recipe and how to cook a good cuisine. Education is an everyday occurrence. You don't have to have a degree to educate, because when you're talking to your children or other children, every time you say something, you're teaching them something. And how you teach it, comes from the passion that you have for being a teacher. You mentioned that the students love you, and they're wonderful, and you want to change from those that, and even before I even say that, you want to approach the strength of the student. What are their strengths? And that is what you approach. That's what you become from. Some students don't know how to take tests. I was one of them. I hate taking tests. It doesn't mean that I didn't know the answer, because I knew the answer, but I hated tests. So like, I would finish my test, and like you have half an hour, 45 minutes to do a test. I would finish it in 10 minutes because my brain was faster than by everything else. And fortunately, I got them correct, but only because I learned to like doing tests after a while. I learned it because I hated it, then I learned to like it. A friend of mine, individual, the song Tomorrow was from Annie. And he hated the song because it was a child singing and the bald guy singing. It was to him, it was stupid. It was not a very good song. And then he sent me a video yesterday, as a matter of fact, of this girl. Her last name is Christmas, Sid Christmas. I would like you folks to go on YouTube and listen to her. Sid, S-I-D, Christmas. He sent that to me. So I listened to it yesterday. And the way she sung it was, she's saying that my life is troubled. I've had a troubled life. I know people who have a bad this, and people have challenges, but there's always tomorrow. And tomorrow is just a day ahead, a day away. There's always tomorrow. So what you're facing today, you would say to your students, tomorrow is going to come. There's always tomorrow, just a day ahead. It's going to come. And so when I listened to that song sung by this beautiful artist, it brought tears because it made me understand from her perspective as a teacher. She's teaching me now about tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to come. Tomorrow is just a day away. And when I listened to that, I said, dang. So now I love the song because it resonated. It makes sense. And so the things that you do, Professor Ahmed, and the things that you say has to come from 4 areas within the human body. And those areas, first is your consciousness, comes from the spirit. The first and foremost comes from the spirit. And how the spirit draws in people. You can have good spirit, bad spirit. Is there such a thing as good and bad? Yes, there is. But they're all good. Because the good is good, the bad is still good. Because you're learning from it. If you look at the bad things, then you say, oh, I don't like it. It sucks. It's terrible, etc. Goes on and on and on. You're not going to appreciate the darkness. You're not going to appreciate the bad. But if you can learn to navigate through it, I promise you, all of you, you'll be stronger leaders. You'll be effective because you understand the light and the darkness. You don't have to compromise with any of them. Just go through it. I promise you, you'll be far more ahead in your consciousness. The emotional side of your teaching, sometimes, like in law, when you're writing a brief, and I am a lawyer, when you're writing a brief, you want to keep the emotions out and just stick to the facts. Because that's what, as a teacher, as a professor, as an educator, as a leader, your students want the facts. They are tapping into your brain because they want to know the facts, not because you're a nice guy and, oh, I like his teaching because he's a nice guy and etc. It's nice to be a nice guy, but it's also okay to be a stern guy because both of them are lessons to be taught. The third thing that you do with, you have your spirit, you have emotion, and then you utilize what I like to call the foundation from within. It's my own terminology where I tap into my foundation as to where I'm at today and how I can take the good side of me and to impart what I want to share with them and how I became successful, how I became a person that other world leaders look to for advice. And so I look at the foundation from with me that establishes the intellectual as well as the spiritual and emotional side of that leadership, that foundation within me. Without saying anything to anybody, I tap into that. And the fourth, and I think one of the most important is my partnership. And then I want to explain what does that mean. Because partner means the guy or the gal sitting next to me. Are we partners? Are we cohorts? Are we collaborators? Or all that kind of stuff? No. The partnership that I'm talking about is the problem in myself. How my partner problem and how I'm going to solve the problem with my partner. So the problem itself is going to manifest itself so that I can see the problem and boom, I know the answer. I got it. I got it. Because the problem the problem is my partner, and I'm going to deal with my partner. You see, in life we have partners and we deal with them, and some of them can be good and whatever the case, and they're not very good partners. I'm talking about the human partner. But the partnership of the problem, if you look at the problem as my partner and you want to solve that problem, I have found that for me, it works. It works. Might sound silly to you, but it works because I look at my partner, the partner is that problem, and I say, I'm going to solve my problem. And when I look at my partner and say, hey, you got it? And partner said, yeah, I got it, man. It's all good. And all of a sudden, you're moving forward again. Because the problem is never a problem if you can become calm, collective, and look at it from what is my partner, the problem, telling me. That's what you're doing. And you're solving that. And you have a great partner in that problem. But that's how I would like to say to you, Professor Hamid. And everything else, I think you're doing great. Did I answer your question?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for inviting me, Professor, today. I'm sorry I came on late, but it was 3 o'clock in my morning. And it's still early, and I'm surprised I'm bushy tail, and I tell you, I jump in the shower to woke myself up, and then came to this, but it's always a blessing to support the university, the curriculum, the things that you're teaching, because it's very essential. The word transpersonal leadership is mainly understanding yourself.
Yeah.
That's all it is enjoying who you are. But anybody have any questions before I say aloha?
I think Ahmed has raised a hand, so
Okay.
yes. Khaled, please go on.
Yes, just I want to share something very important. Maybe soon we'll contact with you actually with the new school in Global Sustainability Future Network. The headmaster, Dr. Renuka. I will share my knowledge there and my curriculum and my lesson plan for all youth around the world. That's coming soon, I promise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, His Highness, for giving us your wisdom and time. We are blessed with that. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. God bless you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Dr. Nuka. Dr. Roy, thank you so much. Mr. Lloyd, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
over to
very
you,
much
Doctor.
for doing this favor to us. So, and it was very nice to meet them.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I will call upon now Rotini so that we can hear from him. Hello, are you able to speak?
Who is it that you're asking to unmute?
It is Rotini. He was to be our second speaker here.
I don't see anybody with that name.
No, they have just left. They were here. Okay. Let me look into the... Is there anyone ready for the speech? I think Khaled has to make a speech, isn't it?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah. Yes, and we have Louise here, so probably we can finish with this speech and then we can close the session. It's already 5, but we can do this one. Thank you very much.
Yes, perfect. Because I would like to share my project to let the lovely people here know exactly what I'm doing. because it's magic. That's no, it's not magic. That's real. I start my project now. Just I share my screen. I hope this time it's working good, because last time it was bad. Hopefully. I think now good.
Yes, we can see, but if only you can put it on PowerPoint.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise,
Sure.
it is okay.
Sure. Okay. Now it's ready?
Yes, perfect.
Just a moment. Yes. How are you, everyone? I'm Khalid. I'm from Egypt, and I have a big history. That's something that what I have. I share to you because I know that's long time. I know make a long time for you more. That's about me. That's my experience about me. Actually, I'm a member in T4 community and also professional development in international and American education and technology and AI, and top member in multilingual translator in Global Digital Library since 2018. I did the translation from English book to more than 9 languages. That's actually it's a favorite career for me actually, and also member in UNESCO and also ambassador for Egypt in T4. And actually, I'm not only educator, I'm also pro coach. I started as coaching since 10 years ago until now. I have also career as ambassador also for global mindset in for Egypt, and also facilitator in WPAX, and also pro coach in multilingual. And also that's what I have also T4 country ambassador for Egypt. And also that is the amazing certificate. I became member in Global Sustainability Future Network. And that's a good chance for me to be able to share what I have for all this around the world. When I start with Dr. Renuka, I became also active with many activity online with youth. Like I became also with Global Empowered, also that contact with students from different countries. That's amazing actually also. And also that was excellent event in Pakistan. That's first event for Dr. Renuka. It was amazing. And then also in Egypt, empowering for women in Egypt. Also, it was amazing conference in Egypt also. And then also in Kenya. And now in Nigeria. About my project, first, when I start my project to create my project, since first time I traveled to Doha in WISE, it was 2014. That's the first time. And I meet professional people and was talking about how I can create something different to support the students. And from this time, I was thinking for my project. And then that's my project about what? About multilingual, 9 languages learning, and also music curriculum, and also computer science. Then that's about my my project is delivering multilingual and also that support for education 2030. I hope I can deliver that before this time. What I deliver, actually, I deliver multilingual in lesson plan, more than 9 languages, and music curriculum for all ages in multilingual, and computer science also in multilingual. That's easier learning and exciting also. And about the languages, what about the languages I have and I deliver? Arabic, English, Dutch, German, French, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, Russian. How I do, how I create the lesson plan in languages, for example, in multilingual. If you see it's simple English sentence. This is my teacher. Her name is teacher Anki. She loves us a lot. That's simple sentence in English. how I solve this sentence in other languages to let the students learn more languages, multilinguals in the same time, in easier way, quick. Here in Arabic, I think nobody can read it Arabic now, because Arabic is still from right to left, how you can see this. I think I thought for new idea to teach the students, because I need them talking first, and then they can learn alphabet. I was thinking, what is the easier way to teach the phonetics? Of course, it's Latin languages. It will be quick to learn. The letter for English, they can support the students can good talking any languages. Because if you see the children, first they learn how they talk, and then they learn how they read and learning writing and so on. But first they learn how they talk. That's what I am doing for my project. Here is the same sentence in Arabic. The blue letter, that is, if you read it, you get the phonetics, the right saying in Arabic, how you talk Arabic. Can you follow me in the blue line? هذا أستاذي اسمها المعلمة أكني هي تحبنا كثيرا. Now that's exactly Arabic languages, but you cannot read the black one because that's Arabic, really Arabic. But when you learn how you talk, then you will be exactly directly how you learn the alphabet for Arabic. It will be simple. And here also Chinese, also the same trouble, because Chinese, it's very difficult. By myself, I was still in my home to learn for 2 years dialect until I got these languages. That's the standard alphabet in Chinese, but it's very difficult. I also solved this. You can read it in pinyin, in Latin accent, but you have to know also the accent for the Chinese languages, because Chinese languages, it's not normal. When you read it in English like this, you don't be right in saying, because they have 4 accents, like That's the accent that must be using in the alphabet in Latin, for example. For example, you can see this. So wa da lao sho ta sho ya lao sho ta fran sho or man. Yeah, it's so quick, but you have to see you have to hear accent sh here wo like this. And also the Russian, how you can read also the same trouble. You cannot be able to continue with the standard alphabet in Russian. I also solved this. You can also now reading in the plural writing, and then you can be able to read later to learn quick. If you read it now, you get exactly the phonetics for Russian. Otomoy, oshtel, yay, zavod, oshtel, akne, onanas, ocean, lupit. Now it will be simple, but when you can be able to talk, then you can be able to read the standard alphabet. I'm sure for that. Here, the Italian, I think it's very easy for everyone, because Italian and Spanish and French, that's the group. Everyone can read it. It's not so difficult. Here also French also is the same, and Spanish also seems closer alphabet. Here German a little bit, maybe, yeah, the accent maybe it has special, because like if we read, but you can be able to continuous learning that German. If you try to read it, das ist mein Lehrer, sie haben Riran Akne, sie lippen on sie. It's so muckly. It's easy. And Dutch is a similar with German. If you learn Dutch, you will be able to read German, because Dutch is a little bit difficult, but if you get it quick, you can be able to continue with German. Here, for example, the Dutch, Dat is mijn leraar. Haar naam is leraar Acne. Ze houdt veel van ons. It's some similar. You cannot be found some difficult for learning. About that was multilingual. About the music, what I'm doing actually, because I'm actually music teacher. I teach all kind of instrument, all kind of styles in short time. And also I have special way for teaching, because I can teach left hand and right hand, because the left hand, they have special feelings, and right hand, they have special feelings. I learn it by myself because a right hand player, but I teach how I learn it how I can continue with the left hand, and that's the very difficult, but I got it now. For music, I can teach all kind of instrument in short time. For example, if you want to learn guitar, for example, 30 minutes you will learn that for sure, exactly 30 minutes. And also all styles, classic and blues and jazz and rock, Arabic music, and more other styles, because I'm actually a musician, not only music teacher, but I'm music teacher also. I learned a lot of theory about the music. Here, if you see, that's my students in the normal class, not music room. No, that's normal class. We have active board. They use their tablet and they use the active board and they create the lesson in music. Compose music, they compose music, they read music, they play music in the time of the class. And they don't need to leave the class. They won't stay for all time learning music. Why? Because they found something beautiful to learn, and they already creating by themselves. They doing like a teacher. They compose the music and they learn. They play the music. That's what I'm doing. That's exciting learning for students. And about computer science, I have more than 60 program in software and everything in computer I can teach in multilingual. That's for example, if Photoshop, actually, that's a little program. You know, Photoshop, it's a big program actually. Until now, I learn more. I still learning some tools in Photoshop. What about other software? You have to be hurry up to deliver the learning for students. And also here some students for me. If you see here in music room, my students, they were in grade 6. Here down, the same students before they graduate from university. Here, they graduate already and they did on concert here. And here also, they work in environment day with breast cancer in Egypt, and they did a big event. That's our students. And here also the events when I traveled, was in Botswana. And also that's the global organization in Colombia and Latin America. I support my for learning with my project for more than 4 million students in Latin America and Colombia. That's global event also. I attend every month. I have summit there. Here also it was in Singapore. Here also in While Learning Week in UNESCO. And here also in China, there's also international conference for artificial intelligence, because I now busy actually for how I can deliver my project in AI. That's very important. And here it was also in Denmark, and here also in Zimbabwe by United Nations, also the big event. And here also Washington. Every year I travel to Washington for Alliance Symposium, for also the technology, how I can support the education in technology. This year I have to travel in November. We have the event in Washington. Here also in Berkeley, I was there 3 times in Boston, because I learned a lot how I can deliver my lesson plan in online. and here also in Canada. That's also global organization for also evaluation for education. Here, just I stop sharing. If you have some question, actually, I deliver my present now for Prof. Luis and Prof. William because they focus for technology. Now, I have question for Prof. William. What about device you have? How you can support for my project? Is that you have idea to create something amazing, something crazy for students to learn quick. And also here, Mr. Luis, I know you have your own project. How you can support your own project in multilingual to grow to support many students around the world? Now the floor is yours. Who can start, please?
Well, I think, hey, this is Louis here from Los Angeles. Yeah, hey, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. That was very intriguing, and I find it's very encouraging to have a great support for the student and globally, especially. I think, as you can see, myself also supporting global student around the world. At least I try from an early age. So, but I want to know, is your program free program, or how does it work with different organizations globally? So, are you charging them, or how does it work in that portion?
Actually, it's individual organization. That's mine. I do everything by myself. I created, I did videos and audios. I can update everything minutes in short time because I have all materials by myself. I use my computer. I use all programs. How I can graphics to do new graphics for planning, new system for learning. Yeah, in the end, you take video with audio in lesson plan.
So, but you charging them, or is it like how? Yeah, I just wondering. Or it's a free program for everyone?
Yes, yeah, it's free, but how I can deliver for free? Yeah, I looking for a global organization just to create it all and seed it and delivering for students, really students, not for people for fun, students and schools around the world. How we can deliver this to them?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to do too, actually. Yeah. Yeah, my program is specific for school because I want to make sure that people use it for school.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I just need more time to think about more thoughts about this thing and digest it, and then see. I might have more questions for you later.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's a start. Just we start together to contact. And now the Prof. William Jackson, because he has a fantastic device. I know he's not listen us. Maybe not contact with the. Okay, anyway, because of the time. Okay, thank you for listening my presentation. It's my honor to deliver something what I have, and that's not the end. Like I said, just we start. That's we're thinking together. I'm contact with you on LinkedIn just to share more, and we have to organize it for more idea to create something excellent and delivering for schools and students. And I'm sure that's very, very exciting for learning, because the students actually, I stayed in my school, actually, the all students, they active in my project. They're learning many languages and they're learning computer science, but I am their music teacher, but they learning something for fun, but they are now excellent for knowledge in computer science and multilingual and also computer and music. That's it. We have to deliver that for all students, especially in Africa, because I know exactly in Africa when I was in Zimbabwe, I met many musicians there. They want continuous with music learning. That will be good point for them to share the all styles and all music instruments, because I'm professional for playing music instrument and also can teach in short time. That for sure. Just we're thinking later what we have to can be able to deliver something new. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anuka, for this good opportunity. I'm so appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And also offering questions and also asking for support. This is very good. You can meet together and think of a way to move this forward. Of course, you know, like everyone needs to think of how we can get a little bit also or like a payment to what you have been contributing. And I think you have asked the right question, Louise, that how it is delivered, whether it is free or not. But probably it is something that you need to discuss between yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much. It is unfortunate that we could not hear the monarch Rotini, but maybe he can figure out tomorrow, and if he's present, we can invite him to speak. But however, I think today it was a very enlightenment session with the king, and thank you, Professor Aluwaz Wafini. He has left because he has a classes, so I think he made a good favor to us. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
I will share the recording, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.
1 second before we
Thank
leave,
you.
we can have a group photo, which we forgot.
Oh, yes.
I will stop the recording and then I will take the group photo.